Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense Corps.
It is very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Our wonderful producer for the night is, yes, Mr. Sensational himself, Mr. Craig Gibson. Be coming to you live via Love 97 FM studios. This is Tuesday, the 15th day of July, 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, hey, it's Maritime Tech Matters. We encourage that if you're driving and tuning in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you're trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for the night show are One-on-One Pharmacy, and up in Freeport, we have, of course, Island Care Pharmacy. Our third sponsor would be Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. Good night to my one and only Annie Mae. Annie Mae up there in Freeport, 92 years old and going strong. And strong. And strong. Good night to you, Annie Mae. Girl, I talk to you. Yeah, Annie Mae sent me but two messages. Boy, Annie Mae had me to kill. But Annie Mae, everything cool. You know, I respond and we still rolling, ticking and talking, and you know how we roll. Thank you very much. So I say good night to you again. You are listening to Maritime Tech Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Tonight, we engage various recent maritime hot topics. The big one, of course, being crisis due to immigration violations in the Bahamas. So, our topics sought to engage the following. The big one, the Bahamas immigration crisis. Those of you who are paying attention would be aware that there was a big press conference by the FNM, the official opposition of the country, at which time Operation Shield was rolled out. Operation Shield being the acronym SHIELD, by which the FNM intends to approach dealing with this illegal migration in the Bahamas issue. And this is being anticipated once the FNM takes office after next election. But, my dear listener, what guarantee is there that the FNM administration might win the next election? And so, what happens if they don't? Will there be a wait for another 5-year cycle in order to roll out Operation Shield if they don't win the election? Should we, the people, be made to wait even for another year until election for the FNM to act? What is this, people? What is this? I got a friend who said, what the hell is this? But I ain't gonna say that, right? We need to know what the FNM is prepared to do about this immigration crisis now. Not tomorrow, or if they were to assume power. But right now, today, this year, the middle of this year, before this year out, what is the FNM as the official opposition prepared to do to assist us, the Bahamian people, with this vexing situation that we are faced with? Mr. Leader of His Majesty's most loyal opposition, please tell us, sir, what are the now plans for us to eradicate this fully brewed immigration crisis we find ourselves in? That's what we like to know. Our next topic is going to be the town hall meeting by the COI. This happened on Sunday as well. This happened a couple short hours following the press conference by the FNM. Now, I don't know how long the COI had planned to do their meeting, but I understand they probably planned this even before the FNM decided they're going to do a press conference. I don't know. But anyway, that's irrelevant. And during this town hall meeting by the COI, the leader, everybody would know who the leader is, Mr. Lincoln Bain, he lashed out that the opposition leader's speech on Operation Shield is nothing but a flowery speech with an epic failure, suggesting that the focus on this immigration crisis should be on a sword as opposed to a shield. Suggesting, of course, that I imagine we should be aggressive in our focus, not accommodative. I am inclined to share that view by Mr. Lincoln Bain. I don't share much view as he have, right? But that one for certain, I agree with Mr. Lincoln Bain, and I share that view. Because we have to get aggressive about this situation. We can no longer sit back and allow things to continue developing in a negative way for our children, grandchildren, and their children and grandchildren. No, sir. This problem needs to be arrested now. During that town hall meeting, the COI leader called for an immediate moratorium on work permit issuances. Boy, look here again. I have to agree fully with this. We have a huge problem. This is our biggest problem right now as far as we're aware. Eh? Does this country have a problem bigger than this immigration crisis? Well, we have crime problem. Everybody got crime problem. But this immigration crisis is threatening to just overtake us. The numbers are not in our favor. And we cannot forget that another 9 million are sitting in Haiti going through turmoil. And if they can get out, I wouldn't even say all of them. Let's say 20%, 25% of them get out. Let's say 10% of them get out. 9 million, 10% is 900,000. 5% get out. And they will have more people in our country than we have today. So we can't take this lightly. We can't keep kicking this down the corridor like it's a can. Let's just keep kicking it until, we tired. Because when our time comes, we got other things to deal with. Because right now, the current administration, in my opinion, is not taking this bull by the horn and addressing this immigration crisis. The opposition, based on what took place Sunday, is not taking this bull by the horn. Well, they may not be able to take the bull by the horn because they're not in the chair, but they're not opposing, or they're not being aggressive enough to put enough pressure on the existing administration to cause them to do things that the law provides for, so that this problem can start to be addressed in a tangible way. During that town hall COI meeting, the leader charged that there are reportedly many fake permit documents being circulated, and there is no database being made available to officers on site to verify the legitimacy of work permits, etc. So if the police, and he indicated, say, no, let me tell you something. I don't, Lincoln Bain, I don't know him personally. He can't even tell you what I look like, right? But one thing I could say is this town hall meeting, before this town hall meeting was carried on, I watched the leader of the opposition, and some of the same things that came to my mind is what Lincoln Bain come and said. It's like he picked my brain. I don't know. I know the two of us are Bains, right? Well, brains, the R is silent, we say. We don't pronounce the R because people just get upset. But he called for an immediate moratorium. And I think with the crisis we have now, we need an immediate moratorium. Because if we got a lot of fake permits and passports and stuff, that is alleged. But if we do, even if that is alleged, we see, you look in the papers every day and you see a bunch of applications. You go on job sites and you see a lot of foreigners doing things that Bahamians can do. We need to arrest this situation. We need to substantiate a database so strong that when you go in front of an immigration officer, they can actually go in that system like they do at the border control in the U.S. when you're trying to travel and go through their clearance. Like they do when you go to Cuba and when you reach, they put you through. They are checking that database against your name. So even if you have a fraudulent document and it don't show up in that system, you're arrested. Why is it that in this day and time, with technology the way it is, Bahamas being such a smart country, we got people with degrees in immigration, we got people with degrees in government, in the ministries, and our database cannot be as strong as it is in other countries, like Cuba. Even like the U.S., we can afford it. We're only dealing with a handful of people compared to that. We just need to be deliberate about it and make sure that we have a database so strong that the immigration officer going to a job site to check the status of the workers can use his cell phone and pull up the name of a document that is presented to him for verification, and can tell that person on the spot, this is fake. We got to lock you up and you got to tell us where you got this from. Why can't that happen today? Why can't the opposition push for that to happen? Why can't the government ensure that that happens? You know why? Because we are a slack bunch. When the FNM is in power, we slack. When the PLP is in power, we slack. So ain't none of them trying to check the next. I don't know about the COI. Because if they get in power, they may be slack too. Who knows? But we need to have this problem arrested. So those charges that there are reportedly many fake permit documents being circulated and there's no database being made available for officers on site to verify legitimacy of the work permits, etc. We need, first of all, the current administration to look into that. Second of all, we need the official loyal opposition to oppose and make sure and put pressure on the government that, look, we need to go no further. This is critical. We need to get this fixed right now. What else did the COI leader point out? And he was pointing these things out, first of all, based on a submission or a speech by the leader of the opposition, and also, of course, just things that he observed, right? Or his party observed. And I don't know the details, but what his party doing, right? But boy, this town hall meeting he had, the things he had to say, caused my eye open wide, because I was like, man, this man got to be in my head. You know, I don't like slackness. Never like slackness. I always believe slackness need to be addressed. And so, the solution given by the COI leader, Mr. Lincoln Bain, is that the PLP and the FNM must go. Boy, you try and blow us, but guess what? I do not support that notion. I don't support that view at all. Because if you ask me, all three needs to go. Right? My ultimate solution would be to apply pressure to the government of the day. I don't care who it is, even if it is the COI. We, the people and the opposition members, need to apply pressure to the government of the day and ensure that they apply enforcement based on the laws we have on the books. And we can talk a little bit about those laws we have on the books that needs to be enforced. The COI leader advised that we should no longer go after the workers, but enforce the laws on the employer. My goodness, that man is a genius. That's exactly what I was saying now for 2 years. When are we going to lock up an employer for 1 day? And stop chasing behind workers. I'm going round the streets, picking them up, putting them in. We don't need no detention center. We don't need to chase behind them. We don't need to repatriate none of them. All we need to do is cause them to not be able to work. And then, instead of passing Jamaica and passing Cuba to get to Nassau, you know what they can do? They can pass Nassau, because if they can't, why do you think they don't go to Jamaica? Because they ain't gonna find no job and they can make no money to send back home. Why they don't go to Cuba? Same thing. Those places are closer to Nassau. I want y'all to know that. So, why be so slack? So the COI leader, and out of everybody I heard, because you know Sunday, the PLP had a rebuttal by Mr. Wayne Munro, or should I say, Honorable Wayne Munro. They had a rebuttal of what the FNM had to say. Hey, I know if they touch the COI, and I know if they can't touch the COI at this point, right? But I wish that rebuttal was to what the COI had to say. Because the COI leader, as far as I can see, by saying, let's go after the employer, is being extremely genius. Because does the government really want to go after the employers, the government of the day? The administration currently in power. Do they really want to go? Why are they not going after the employers if they got a whole immigration department, a whole labor department, a whole police force, a whole defense force? But yet, they're not going after the employers. Like I say, I've been lobbying for this for over 2 years now on the same show. And in my view, this mentality, propelled by Lincoln being, that shoot him straight to the top of all three of them. Shoot him straight to the top. Because he's thinking in terms of pragmatic resolution. Because if you stop them from working, they can find their way out of here. They don't want to be around me and you, you know. You think these Haitians want to be around me and you and take all this belittling we lash out at them? They don't want to be around me and you, they rather be home. But if they be home, they can't make no money. So they come here, take all the ridicule, live in shanty towns and all that, just so they could make enough money to go build a house home and go back home. Or keep their people coming out of that treacherous situation. They don't want to be here. But if we, the people of the Bahamas, make it very difficult for them to work here, they can move on. Just like how they don't go in Cuba and Jamaica, they ain't gonna come here. You think they come here because we next door to them? Jamaica closer and Cuba closer. Why do you think they come in here? They come in here because they can work and send money out. And they can work because we ain't stopping them from working. Although they ain't get a work permit. Many areas they working, they can't even get work permit for. You can't get work permit to be in construction and security and stuff. Where you can get it from? And the government have a policy say you only Bahamians can work in those areas. So you think the immigration department is going to break the law or break the government policy and issue them permit to work in areas what they know the government policy is that only Bahamians can work in those areas? That ain't gonna happen. Check those work permits. Most of them are laborers and farmers and things like that. But yet they're doing security and construction and everything else. Something wrong with that picture. Dead wrong with that picture. And then now it's been alleged that a lot of the documents they have are not even legitimate. And the official opposition leaders say, oh, we don't really need a moratorium. We just need to slow down and because we got people who legitimately been waiting. Man, let them wait. Let them wait till we fix our system, because our system needs to fix. That's how I see it. The immigration crisis response by Mr. Wayne Munro. And Mr. Munro is a very, as we know, intelligent, sharp individual. And he decided he's going to come on and rebut. And ain't nothing wrong with that. That's politics, eh? So the Honorable Wayne Munro charged that if Mr. Pintad has any evidence of corruption within the immigration enforcement system, that's whether it's immigration officers, labor officers, police, defense force, whoever, if he have any evidence, because of course he alluded to some of that, right? Then bring them to the authorities so that appropriate action can be taken. Because if you know something the authorities need, then carry it to them. But of course, you got to have details. You can't just make assumptions. You can't just charge something without giving some kind of evidence. And that's exactly what Mr. Munro is saying, right? And he goes on to advise that the current administration is responsible for dismantling 7 shanty towns so far since they came to office this last 4 years. 7 shanty towns. Well, 3.5, almost 4 years. And I could recall very vividly, because when you compare those 7 shanty towns that were dismantled by the PLP, this current administration, how does that measure up with the amount of shanty towns the FNM or any previous PLP administration dismantled? I don't think nobody could come near 7 shanty towns. So, and I compared, I referred to Mr. the Honorable Clay Sweeting as Superman, because I was so impressed. Superman Clay Sweeting got rid of shantytown after shantytown. First he started in Nassau, out to where your name, Cool Acres. You go on St. Vincent Way, someplace out off Carmichael Road. They go on to Abaco. They went to Lutra at some point. I think they go on to Spanish Way. Well, they've been all over the place dealing with shanty towns. But I must question as to when last was one of these shanty towns in Nassau. We know we got over 40. You all don't tell us that. In the whole country. And most of them in Nassau. So if you get rid of 7, when are you going to get rid of the next one? And I put a charge to Superman about a year ago, asking him to give us a schedule. I want to see a schedule of which shanty town for next month, and at least one every month, straight through the end of this year. The opposition should be pushing for a schedule of when shanty towns are going to be coming down. That's how we're supposed to be rolling. And you heard our voice note couple weeks ago, but we gotta hit the square. We gotta hit the square to make sure these things happening, you know. Because if we don't do it, and the government don't want to do it, and the opposition ain't sure they want to do it, based on that speech, saying we may have Bahamians. If we have Bahamians in the shanty towns, get them out, because they live in houses that were not built according to the building code. Why should they be allowed to be in there, and other Bahamians who we know can't go live in no shanty town or can't build no shanty town? No, we need to get rid of all these shanty towns. Because one other thing the shanty towns do is when the Haitians and Bahamians go to live in a shanty town, they pay peanuts. If they have to find an apartment, the amount of money they got to pay is going to cut down on the amount of money they could send home. So they ain't trying to spend no money here to build up and develop our communities. No, they're trying to get away from that, so they do their own little thing, spend peanuts. They only want a little bed to sleep in, no toilet, no this, no that, and pay peanuts and send most of their money home. You see, that's why we need to cut that out. Because they use that to disseminate new Haitians reaching land, whether they come through the airport or come by way of boat, and they rent them space until they could get all sorted out to be working with their document or illegitimate, whether illegitimate or legitimate. That's how they roll. So yes, Mr. Superman, we need you to get back on the program. We don't want the rest of this year to run out and we didn't get at least one a month. We would like to see a schedule. You all know where they are. So don't play with us. Give us a schedule of where they are and the ones you are going to next, and which month you go in there, and which month you go into the next one after that. Let us know. You ain't got to hide that. That's like giving them notice. You scared to give them notice, you're coming to break them down? And where's the opposition in this? And where's the COI in this? Because the COI, one time ago, used to have all kind of rallies. They used to have all kind of marches, all kind of protests. I've been to a couple. When last the COI had a protest? When last the COI had a march? So you can live off that pastime now that you have formulated as a party and do what others do. You already started to do what others do, eh? Because what you do, you ain't doing no more. We're just kind of impressed. You should be raising canes over the fact that there's no schedule for shanty towns to be broken down. You should be raising canes over the fact that no employer was locked up over the past year. No employer was put before the courts this month, but yet you go from job site to job site. And the people can hardly speak English sometimes. What are we going to do? We're going to sit back and accept this for another year until election to say, oh, we can deal with them at the polls? Man, we got to find a way to deal with them in the chair, no matter who it is. Stop being slack and cause our grandchildren and great-grandchildren to tell us how slack we was. I had a friend call me today. So, oh, you be making all that noise and you know it ain't going nowhere. I don't care. I don't care but where it go. My job is to call it out. And a couple months down the road, a couple years down the road, people can't look at me and say, I didn't call it out. Not that I care. But I do care for this country, and I do care to ensure that what's on the books is being enforced. And when we talk about enforcement of immigration laws, I had a discussion yesterday with a very senior government official, retired, but he is a very senior government official, a vast experience in the administration of our immigration procedures. I'm not going to call his name, so let's just refer to him as Fred. Now, the first thing Fred advised me was that the conditions in Haiti is dangerously dire. And the country is being run by gangs. But we know that from way back. That's why the Kenyans had to come in with, the Jamaicans and I think they got 3 or 4 Bahamians. Boy, look, we doing bad with that. We need to get some Bahamians on the ground among those other people because the Bahamas is feeling the impact more than the rest of them. Why are we clowning with enforcement in Haiti trying to get them regularized again? I don't know all the details, but somebody probably could call and tell me, right? We need to fix that. We need to get more people down there. We pledge 150. Then next thing I hear, oh, we can be patrolling the water. Patrolling what waters? The problem is on the waters. We can leave our borders wide open. We ain't able to defend force can be buying boat to help save up. Let me tell you something. You worry about Haitians coming in here? What about the 150,000 that well, I allege, right? Because if you look at our population, back in the day, we was neck and neck with Barbados. We were all, just back in the 70s, us and Barbados with like 240, 250,000 each, right? Now you check today, Barbados backpedal, they must see just over 200,000 now. And we double. We like 400,000. You really seriously think that's 400,000? What they call it? I say raw bone Bahamian, but some people say oh Lord, with that time name, not genuine Bahamian, but it is. Anyway, y'all know what they're talking about. No, it's not that. We all mix up because our brothers and sisters from Haiti, and I have no problem with Haitians. I love them, right? I love Bahamians too, but when Bahamians breaking the law, I have a problem with them. So if Haitians coming to break our law, I have a problem with that. And they, if this trajectory continue, the Haitians would eventually have more people in our country than, oh Jesus, what the word is, Bahamian, organic. Oh, why someone need to call and tell me that? Organic Bahamians will be outnumbered. And then they tell you another 9 million in Haiti waiting to come. So, okay, let us don't rest this problem. Let's don't do what Jamaica and Cuba will do and cause them to can't wait. Let's continue to be slack. Let's continue to protect them. Let's continue to ease up off them. Because we worry about what the international community could say if we break down shanty towns. I hear one question asked in one of the meetings. If the shanty towns are broken down, where will the people go who live in the shanty? Where will the people? Boy, you know how much people ain't got no place to go? How much people who ain't living no shanty town ain't got no place to go? You know how hard it is to find an apartment around here? They will have to fend because they break the law. So they done broke the law. So we need to break them down. And the set who have legitimate documents to be here need to be like us who are legitimately here and find an apartment and contribute to the society. Stop trying to make up a bunch of money and send it all out. So we ain't need no excuses for breaking them shanty towns down. They're not built to code. Break them down. You come here, you break the laws, and then you want us to take pity on you and say we can find some place to put you, and we got government officials considering that. No. We have to wake up. Now let me go back to my friend Fred. So Fred told me that, look, Haiti is run by gangs. People who getting documents in Haiti ain't getting it from no organized administration, because ain't none of them there. They're getting it from this one and that one who got the highest bid, who this and that, and they're using them documents to move it. So we are not dealing with an organized political system when we talk about dealing with Haiti. And so many fraudulent documents are being produced and generated off as legitimate. So this makes it very difficult for our government officials to decipher legitimate documents from Haitians entering the Bahamas. They have to decipher whether it's good or bad, and it's hard to tell because they ain't got no database over there we could call them and double check. So I put the question to my friend Fred. I said, Fred, regarding why would the Haitians bypass close to destinations like Kingston and Havana? Not really, Havana is really Hungarian. Hungarian is close, Havana kind of far. But you're in Hungarian, you're in Cuba. To take up much longer throughout to Nassau. Guess what his response was there, listener? Guess what Fred told me why the Haitians take a longer, treacherous trek to Nassau. One word, employment. You see, they wouldn't be able to gain employment in Jamaica or Cuba to satisfy their desire to send significant amount of profits back home. So they take that big risk and brave the high seas to get to Nassau. And with some extra funding, they can buy their way into coming in first class on a jet. And they got all the right documents to waltz their way in. And then when they didn't get in, they find a shanty town. And so my next question to Fred was, are we enforcing our immigration laws upon employers that are illegally hiring undocumented migrants? And at that point, you know what Fred did? Fred grabbed his phone and he made a couple of calls. He said, boy, Glenn, you know we used to, but let me double check that. And he made some calls to some people still in the system who he knows very well. And these big time people now, these small fry on the low end, these people on the top end. And he asked them, are we still charging people in court for hiring migrants? When last did we charge somebody? Are we charging the big boys too? No, you know the answer was? The answer was, it has been many long months since the last case was in court. And they further stated, only the small fries were being charged with this infraction. And what they charging them under? I'll tell you, I went to the Immigration Act. See, one thing with me is I just go deep when I go into these things. I like to research because I like to know. 28.3 of the Immigration Act states that any person who, whether on his own behalf or on behalf of another, employs any person who, under the provisions of subsection 1 of this section, is prohibited from engaging in any gainful occupation, shall be guilty of an offense against this act. So what they're saying is anybody who hires somebody without them being a Bahamian or having a legitimate document from the immigration authorities, with we know it's a work permit, and you hire them, or you stop them from being prohibited from being engaged in gainful employment, which means you hire them, you will be guilty of an offense under this act. And so, if you're guilty, the first question comes to mind is what? What is the penalty? Well, you all think I ain't find out what the penalty is? Because in the act it tells you what the penalty is. And you go to section 48. It reads as follows. Any person who commit, and you could go to laws online right now and pull this up. in your cell phone, in your laptop, whatever. Laws online, Bahamas laws online, Immigration Act. And Section 48 says, any person who commits or attempts to commit an offense under this act or any regulations made thereunder shall, except where any other penalty is provided. So if we already have a penalty for that, which is the case with these people, with people hiring undocumented workers, be liable on summary conviction to a fine of $3,000 or imprisonment for 2 years, or to both such fine and imprisonment. So we could charge you $3,000 if you hire somebody without a permit. If we find you guilty, charge you, well, that's the most we could do now. Charge you $3,000. Of course, it's a magistrate court. And plus put you in jail for 2 years. But you know it'll be acceptable to me if a court reduced that penalty to imprisonment for 1 day. Boy, you know how happy I'll be. I want to see someone get locked up, if only for 1 day, for hiring somebody who don't have a work permit or the appropriate work permit for what they doing. That's all I need, 1 day. And we will all watch the dominoes topple over each other, and because once they see someone get locked up, these people who just hire migrants that don't have the requisite document. See you on the line, caller. Be with you 1 second. These people will be afraid. They ain't gonna take their chance because they don't want to go to jail for 1 day. They don't want to be fined $3,000. They don't want to go to jail for 2 years. And that's where we need to get right now. The government need to get us there. The opposition need to press them to get us there. And the COI needs to kick in and make sure we get there and start doing some more protests if necessary, yeah? Calling you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I just had 2 questions for you.
Yes, darling.
Who determined that we have an immigration crisis? And is that just political fodder? Because
well, I see it every day, especially in the construction field. I see it on the docks, around all the mail boats. Ain't nobody gotta tell me that. Do you live here?
These people are illegal.
No, but do you live here? Well, we know they can't. These are areas reserved for Bahamians, so they gotta be illegal.
Well, let me finish my question.
Yes, please.
Every day in the newspaper, you have half a page or more of people who are requesting the presence of the immigration director. So these people have legitimate work permits to be here.
But they don't have work. They're not going to get a work permit from immigration to do construction. I tell you that because that will be against our government policy, and immigration is a government department. They're not going to violate the government policy.
We still have, the problem isn't the people. The problem is the government regulating it, right? These people have legitimate work permits to enter. They come in with their papers, their documents.
Yeah, but their permit is not going to say they could do construction work.
They're not here illegally. And the government is budgeting for $140-some million worth of work permits, citizenship, residency. They planning on these folks coming in.
And you think we should sit back and allow them to cause that to happen? That is why I am preaching out against it. Because the official opposition got to cut them short and make sure that don't happen.
Well, I don't see no emergency because I don't see it being published that these folks are being caught and sent back. I don't see an emergency. They have legitimate work papers.
But you say they have legitimate. You see somebody with a work permit to do construction work in this country. You see a foreigner with a work permit to do construction on these construction sites in this. You saw that?
I didn't. I don't see.
Well, don't say you see nothing legitimate because it's not legitimate.
I don't see any crisis.
You ain't see no crisis because you're not looking. You're not on these construction sites. You're not.
Giving them permission to come in on whatever means. That means that it's not a crisis because the government has been paid. Wayne Monroe said the NIB is being paid. They're getting way more money from NIB now that they're regulating it. So
but that should tell you that more people working in these areas would supposed to be reserved for Bahamians.
But you addressing the wrong people with the issues. The issues is
But who am I addressing?
educated.
I am addressing the government of the day. Who am I addressing?
No, I'm saying you making it seem like these folks coming in here illegally, and every person you see of a different nationality is illegal. They're not illegal.
That's not what I said.
They're not legally working, paying their NIB, and the government is benefiting from their presence.
Yeah, but some of the illegal ones are also working and paying NIBs. You know that?
What?
The ones who have work permit to be a farmer and in the construction field, they pay national insurance. And they just collect national insurance and they just go in the hospital and use that. So I don't want you to think they're doing us no favor.
Okay, well, that's my comment.
All right, honey. Thank you so much for calling. You know, you always make my day. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of Bahamians who trying to support this nonsense. How could you support if you live in this country and you seeing every day that foreigners are working in some of the areas that are reserved for Bahamians only? And I think I have them listed. Let me tell you what these areas are. Because see, I could talk. Now the government, the department, is it department? But Ministry of Tourism put this out, you know. This ain't something Glenn Bain say. This is something the Ministry of Tourism put out to say that, and let me read it. Boy, one thing with me, I mightn't be that smart, but I could read. Areas, and this is from the tourism thing. Areas reserved for Bahamians. The following business areas / sectors have been reserved for Bahamian nationals only. The first one, and they got a list of about 12 things here. Why I go through all this, but 15 things. I can tell you all. And you all tell me you all ain't see no non-Bahamians working in these areas. Wholesale and retail operations. What is wholesale and retail? Bars, wholesale and retail, places like what the place named? Costco, not Costco. Cost right in them. Hey, only Bahamians is being them. Commission agencies engaged in the import / export trade. So if you're doing import and export, you needs to be a Bahamian. Real estate and domestic property management agencies. Now maybe we got Bahamians only in that because breed don't play. Right? But who knows? Then we got domestic newspapers and magazine publications. Do we have any non-Bahamians working in the domestic newspaper area? That's, well, we know what they are. Tribune, Guardian, Journal, and iRadio at Love 97 FM, and I don't back up to none, so I guess that one all right? Domestic advertising and public relations firms. I ain't getting in that. I think the illegal immigrants could be trying to get into them kind of things because they ain't gonna make much money from that, eh? Security services. Now, how much security we see in uniform and can hardly speak English? You think somebody need to tell me? Call, I see you on the line. I'll beat you in one. Oh, hang up. Okay. This, I'm doing security all over the place. Even some of these big major security firms. Right? They got non-Bahamians suit up in uniform. And guess what? Without a Bahamian passport, you shouldn't even be able to get a security license as a security company for person. So the law requires that they be Bahamian in all ways. Is that a caller, producer? Oh. Calling on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, friend.
Hey, good evening, my friend. What's happening, man?
Well, it's not remember a little bit of everything I'm giving God thanks and prayers. I'm vertical, and I'm very much alive.
Very good, my friend. I love to hear that.
I have tuned into your show late. I had some things I had to do. I still need to go do some things, but I have called to readdress a situation that I've confronted you about 2 weeks ago. That situation that is existing in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I kind of catch the voice, and yes, I want you to call me every week. We got to get to the bottom of the situation. Do you have any further developments? I know I saw the letter that went to the MP or the minister. I saw some photos of when the thing happened. Now, I ain't getting nothing to show that the church is trying to get this statue or whatever put on the church grounds as opposed to it being put exactly where those men landed.
Okay. I should have sent you a note that went with the draft of that letter to state that we do not want that stuff to be put on the church premises.
Yeah, but
it is currently being torn down for it to be erected.
Yeah, but
I should have sent that to you. I will send that to you for the next setting.
Okay, that's
But
fine.
that letter, I thought, was a very professionally written letter. It was addressed to the appropriate people. It was addressed to the representative. It was addressed to the Minister of Defense. And it was addressed to the Commodore of the Defense Force. And up to this point, we haven't received any response.
How long ago was that?
That was almost 2 weeks now.
Okay, so if you don't get any response, that's ain't nothing wrong with that, because those entities hardly ever respond anyhow. But my thing is, once they got it.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Whether or not they respond, this is something that is heightened national security, national business. This is a national situation, and it's something that should be discussed, vetted, and discussed in an open forum nationally. It's a decision that should be made on a national platform, not one or two people looking for political brownie points doing it.
I agree with you. So what you already took the right approach.
And so we expect urgent response to it.
Well, yeah, but you could expect urgent response from the government as much as you want. But government are very lousy when it comes to responding. My thing is, in addition to sending that letter, I would highly recommend that you make some calls, because that letter will go where it needs to go. The person may be aware, but as far as responding, boy, calling them is always better, right? Call them.
I will say to you,
and
before that letter was written, both the Minister of National Security and the representative was spoken to by phone in a little scrap meeting that we had to make a decision as to what we were going to do.
And okay, so what is their position in those?
As a matter of fact, the minister said that he would have been open for a meeting and a discussion with the chief constable at any time. And he said the chief constable told him that he was an answer until Saturday. This was on Thursday. He would meet with him on Friday. The minister agreed to meet with the man on Friday, knowing that fully well that he was in Canada, not even in the Bahamas.
Yeah, but it's only human. He may have forgotten.
These guys are, and what kind of promises they make randomly, and they believe that big people are fools.
Yeah, but we got to make sure, give them an opportunity to do something, because if they now got to reconsider based on that letter they got, then it's going to take time for them to do anything at all. So the fact that ain't nothing happening may be the sign that they are reconsidering. I'm not saying that's the case, but we got to give them leverage, because they're not doing anything at all. Now, if they continue to press on what they had been doing to cause you to approach them, then we would need that would be a problem. So,
Mr. Mayor, let
yes,
me
sir.
put it to you this way.
Mm-hmm.
I have been in administration. I know protocol. Something as simple as acknowledging receipt of the letter.
I've been in government for 18 years, and I can tell you, there are many situations where the ministry never even responded to certain departments when they send them letters. So,
But you see, also what I'm saying to you is you have some phony, I mean very phony behaviors who are in top positions, who listen to your show,
Oh, they listen.
Who hear the call and call for justice to be served and for this thing to be done the right way. And not one of them would let a voice to it, simply because of who is doing it.
Well, that's true, but guess what? We are going to watch and monitor, and that's the reason why I'm happy you call in every week, because we're not going to allow them to just sneak nothing past us, eh? So let's just stay on top of it. Let's just keep talking about it every week. Whenever you see something happen, whether it be in the positive or the negative, or whether it could be where we think it should go, or whether if they're going to do anything to try to continue with the churchyard or whatever, then we just need to talk about it so they can know we watching and we don't agree with that.
I am going to let you get on with your show. You have a very evocative show, meaningful, and I just thought I had to call and plug that in.
Anytime, my brother. You know I appreciate that. You take care of yourself, and thanks for calling.
Thank you very much, Barry, for taking the call, and you carry on.
Anytime, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, that's the kind of call we need. We need calls to tell us when things seem to be going in the wrong direction, and it is being addressed. And that's all we asking. Address the situation with all these employers getting away with hiring undocumented workers. And you know why they do it? We know why they do it. A lot of these employers pay peanuts for these undocumented people to do these work. And they know if they have to pay a qualified Bahamian for some of these work, they know what the going rate is. They know what they're supposed to pay, but they won't pay that. And if they could get an undocumented person to do the same work, whether it be as professional or not, no matter to them. All they want to know is they saving all this money. Then you get another bunch out in the big time life at Kedem areas. They ain't want to see no black people around their house, working inside their house, so they hire the other colored people from other parts of the world to do what Bahamians do everywhere else, including in those big hotels. And they're actually getting work permit to keep Bahamians out of work. Now we have to address these things, because if you and I continue to sit by and the government continue to do whatever they want to do when they're in the chair to keep the system going the way they want it to go, and the opposition sitting back and they ain't getting on them, then if we don't take action, there ain't gonna be no action to take. I'll keep calling it out. But like they say, I can talk much as I like. Calling it out don't mean they can do what I say. We need to do more tangible things. We need to have more protests. We need to have the leader of the opposition rallying us up. Just like the COI used to do, and they don't seem to, they need to start doing that again now that they're official. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, Lady Brenda.
Okay. You need to focus on those Philippines too. A lot of them are part of that island life fatigue.
I was talking about them just now.
But just don't focus on the Haitians too.
I was talking about them just now. You was listening just now?
Every time. I listened to you the other day. I called you for the vote.
But I know, but I just talk about the people out in life with Kale stuff. The other color people. You didn't hear that part?
Is that so?
I just talked about them just now.
Not only in NAFTA, they have those illegal immigrants, those patients that have been there twice in Port-au-Prince.
I agree with you.
Those go-bans and the problems where they come through too.
Yeah.
True, in the place where
I'm getting feedback. Your radio probably on. But yes, Lady Brenda, thank you so much for bringing that up. But I was.
Northerners have a soul they take over down there.
Yeah, they had issues with that down there, and again, we need to speak out. We need our opposition to be getting on things like that. We need the government to go ahead and try to fix those things, and we all need to speak out, because if we don't do it, the country could be overtaken in short order.
And then those people who statistic-wise over 5,000 people already had to run, so maybe a lot of them got killed too. So we don't need them in the Bahamas. So don't sleep on your conversation, what you're talking about.
Yes, darling. You are absolutely right. Thank you so much for.
Brenda Barry, tell you that.
Yes, darling. Thank you for helping me keep their foot to the fire.
Okay.
Take care, baby. Oh, that's my good friend Brenda. Yeah. So as I was saying, we got a lot going on, but these areas that some of these people are getting work permit for, Well, they're not getting work permit for these areas, but they're getting work permit for something else and working in these areas. Because, as I was saying earlier, I don't believe that the government is going to have a department, the immigration department, violate the government policy. The government's policy is going to be upheld when it comes to these. Calling on Maritime Matters, hello.
Hey, man, what's going on today?
Hey, big time. All is well, King Arthur. What's happening, man?
Let's leave that right there. Let's leave that just right here. Let's talk some real talk. We really need to bring our immigration portfolio up to status because, listen, we have really been taken, for granted. You know, fellas, them who was working on these big projects in Nassau, they are still there. They were on work permit and they are still there. Every time a big project come up, they own that project, you know what I mean? And they move around it because they get familiar with the people and the people show them certain things. They are still here.
Well, that's why we got to call them out. And then they sneak on jobs. And if we don't have our enforcers going to these job sites and dealing with the owners and employers, then they can always take a chance with these people. But if they know they could get caught and they could go to jail and they could be fined $3,000, they're not going to want to take that chance. But we got to enforce first. If the police don't do roadblocks, if the police don't do roadblocks in Nassau, you know how much people would feel comfortable having unlicensed cars on the road?
I understand that. But what it is our officials need to keep their pocket closed when they go and go talk to these people.
Well, I don't even care.
On the table and stack some money on the table and come in my office.
My brother, I worrying but no money.
Man office, he got stacks of money all over the place.
I worrying but the people money, you know. All I'm saying is if we enforce the laws on the owners and the employers, that stacks of money ain't make no sense.
Listen at me, these people are buying their way through. You can't understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they could buy their way through, but when the authorities get on them and then in violation of the law, you see, they're not going to get police work permit to do security work if they're not Bahamians. They're not going to get.
We need to clone another lawful broker.
No, you don't need to clone lawful broker. We need to apply the law. We don't have the law. We need to clone it. Let's apply it.
Now listen at me carefully, okay? You got fellas in the Bahamas who saying they're a man. They already jokers, bro. You know what I mean? Especially these fellas them who dress up in these coat suits and sit up in Parliament.
Yeah, but they
who sit up in these big time corporations and things like that. They are jokers because you got the guys on the street who digging in the garbage smarter than them.
Yeah, so why don't we put pressure on them if that's the case? Because we joking too when we're not putting pressure on them.
Oh, well, listen at me carefully. You know what I mean? They'll tell you one thing, and then when you go to see them, they'll try to hide. You know what I mean? And they'll do other things. You know, hey, look, check our situation, man. You know what I mean? The church is supposed to be the most significant organization in the Bahamas. But check what's going on in the church. So what you think about the rest of the whole society? You know what I mean? It's a bunch of hogwash, brother.
Yeah, but we got
only certain places where men is being men and standing up to be men.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000 times. But we have laws. We have laws that are being ignored.
We got people who coming inside here from down south. You know what I mean? And making it hard for us Bahamians when they are loaded with natural resources. Haiti, Jamaica, they got natural resources. They don't need to be in the Bahamas trying to stress out our couple of little natural resources that we have here. You know what I mean? Right now, while that war going on in Haiti, Haiti got bauxite, Haiti got lithium, Haiti got gold. You know what I mean? And it also has oil. You know what I mean? Why are they here trying to cook up on our crown land and you know, making it hard for Bahamians? You know what I mean? To like, you know, hey, we need our own identity. We don't need no Haitian Bahamians. We need Bahamian.
Yeah, but we sitting back and allow it, eh? If we sit back and allow it, I ain't blaming them, you know.
No, well, let me get
I ain't blaming them, because if our authorities ain't doing what on the books to be done, and the opposition ain't putting pressure on the government, and sure it happens, because they just waiting till daytime comes so they can do the same thing, then if that's the case, then they overrun us. So that's why we the people got to speak out and cause the opposition, cause the government to do what's on the books at least check 1 or 2 employers, and let's see one of them go to jail first, so the rest can get the message.
We got a weak opposition, though. And man, you can see what they're doing to their own.
Well, I agree with you, but
one another. How could we count on them right now? You know what I mean? To say they are really, truly Bahamian and want to do the right thing. Huh?
We ain't counting on them.
Look, you know what I mean? Look how we killing one another. You think we love one another, bro?
I with you on that, my brother. But all I can say is if we don't save this country now...
Well, let me ask you a question. You ready to run?
I ready to run? Man, I run plenty marathons in my life. You ain't gonna worry about me getting in politics.
Are you ready to be a representative?
My brother, I am not gonna... You ain't gonna never see me in politics, right? You that ain't gonna happen, because that's not my calling. I have no interest in that. I have no desire for that.
We need a leader with your aspiration, along with the rest of the aspirations that we have. You know what I mean? For people who in power and want to be powerful and
all we need is to galvanize enough people to make sure they carrying out our law. Our laws is what our country is supposed to run by, you know.
Yes, but guess what?
So we need people like me and you need to put pressure on the opposition and the government to ensure that the laws are being carried out. Let me know when somebody going to jail for hiring an illegal migrant, because we know it happening all over the place. Somebody got to go to jail.
Hey, listen.
You can't tell me nobody did it, and the immigration ain't aware of nobody who did it, so they put nobody in court. That's nonsense.
Okay, listen. I see them push strongly here recently about America and China mingling with Bahamians in our business here. You know what I mean? I hear them stood strong on one foot. You know, America been pushing us around, throwing us around, and, you know what I mean, making us do this and do that, you know what I mean? And they had spies in the Bahamas here. You know what I mean? 16, 22, and all the rest of them, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but America have their interests. America, like most countries in the world, have their own interests, whether it be in our country or not, whether it be in another country. We got to understand how the world runs. These countries with a lot of resources, they have interests, and they go to other countries and try to push their interests. You can't blame them for that.
Well, listen, let me get...
We just got to stand our ground.
Hey, listen, the Prime Minister's aide stood up the other day. He said, listen now, you ain't going to push us around, because we have a right to decide which way we need to go. You know what I mean? And we're going to show respect to all of us. You know what I mean? We're not going to get in their fight.
What I saw.
You know what I mean? Wherever the Bahamas government is going to go, what side you want to go on, you know what I mean? Good. You know what I mean? We can't be on America alone, because America will treat us bad. You know what I mean? We have to get, you know what I mean, on another side. And if we got to borrow from other places, you know what I mean, Africa and the rest of other places, let's do that to show them, you know what I mean? We're not beholden to no one, and guess what? You know what I mean? You can't hold us back and you can't hold us down.
Yeah, but the school of thought on that I saw and I thought was good, right? Somebody said, okay, so if we can get $180 million from the Chinese to build a hospital, right? Would America give us the $180 million at 2% rate and match what the Chinese do it?
Never see it.
Well, if they do that, then we could go to them. But you can't criticize us. Well, you could, but you shouldn't criticize us if we go in where we can make a couple dollars without getting killed, eh?
Well, between me and you, we gotta go to those who like hand in hand, you know what I mean, together. Moving together.
No,
we go where you could, you know what I mean? You know, if it was left to America, our dollar would have been devalued a long time.
Well, we just hope that
it would have been like a second or third world country, like how they did Jamaica. And because Jamaica was moving. Like how they do other countries in this world. You know what I mean?
We just hope that America will get...
So they could ride them. I mean, if we're a country, good thing we got people who know how to read and put comments and cross your T's and dot your I's and stuff like that. And guess what? We got a cadre right now who coming behind them who are smarter than the ones who are in place right now. You know what I mean? To make sure that we gonna be Bahamas here and ever, and you know what? Come over here and take us over, because guess what? What we really need to do right now, we need to tighten up our immigration laws, where that these foreigners that come inside here do not go directly for citizenship. We can make them like give them a paper where they got to prove that they're Bahamians for like 10, 15, 20 years before you can get a citizenship. We got to stop this citizenship thing and give them like a green card or something like that if they come inside, if they fit that fit. You know what I mean? And guess what? Then we'll be able to take care of business instead of getting these people passport and things like that. You got to give them a paper, not no passport, bro. You know the passport telling you? Huh? And then you find them again inside out trying to change their name. I mean, I hear one was trying to name himself Penland the other day. I heard another one name Edgecombe the other day. You know what I mean? Got two French names, three French names, and then you want to need yourself these kind of things. Doing it ain't right. What do you say?
It ain't right, but we can sit back and allow our authorities to allow them to do it. See, we got to protest. We got to protest when we see these things. Otherwise, we can cry about it, but it's still happening because the authorities ain't feeling no grunge. That's why we got to get our opposition to say things. That's why we got to hope COI would go back to doing some of those things they were doing in the past. But now that they're officially a party, look like they decide they ain't gonna do it no more.
No. I hear from them. I hear from them too. You know what I mean? These people are moving, but guess what? They got to move in the right direction. You can't have no one with 3 or 4 first names. Right?
I agree, man. I agree.
You was a bean, or you was a sad, or you was an English. No. That's for people who are French and Spanish and them different kind of culture. You know what I mean? Names, that's what they name people. I mean, we got to get this thing right, bro.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so, well, we got to keep our eyes open and keep our shoulders to the wheel, eh?
Yeah, but we don't need the shield, man. We need a sword now.
Now you're talking. You need a sword, and you need to use that sword. And that's why we equip with the law, and we need to make sure the law is being applied. And that's all you need. Because once you do that, everything else fall apart.
That's it. I'm just like a walking razor. Don't watch my size. I'm dangerous.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for calling, man. And you take care. That's my good old friend King Otto of the Freeport. Well, 8 Mile Rock. I can't say Freeport if you live in 8 Mile Rock, eh? And he's saying basically what we're saying. He got his little colorful ways of saying the same thing, but that's exactly what we got to do, eh? Now we were looking at these areas of employment that are reserved for Bahamian citizens only, and I was coming up to the one that says construction companies, and they go on to say except for special structures for which international expertise is required. And when they talk about special structures, they talk about these big hotels and like this hospital that's going to be built if it come to fruition, the way it looked like it might. When you build in a hospital, that's not a regular building, because hospitals call for a lot of unique things based on what that hospital is going to be offering. And you really need entities that built hospitals before and went through the trial and error and all the rest of that to do it properly. So my thing is, we don't expect that we'll have Bahamians building a hospital, because we don't do that too often, eh? And the experience required for that we may not have. When Atlantis and Bahamas was being built, well, of course, we got foreigners in here who would have had experience in dealing with those type heights and all the rest of that, and it was just too much of voluminous work for the local Bahamian companies to take on. Otherwise, we probably would have given it a shot, eh? So construction companies, except for special structures for which international expertise. This is an area that non-Bahamians, and when I say non-Bahamians, non-citizens, I give you a work permit, you can be a citizen to be in this area. Personal cosmetic / beauty establishments. So if you go to a beauty store to buy something, or you go to a beauty store to get fixed up, get something, the person fixing you up or the person selling needs to be, are required to be Bahamian citizens, right? Not talking a different kind of slang, language, etc., etc. Commercial fishing within the exclusive economic zone of the Bahamas. You know that exclusive economic zone stretches 200 miles away from any point in the Bahamas. So once you're within 200 miles of us, you shouldn't be fishing unless you're Bahamian. Auto and appliance service operations. Selling parts for cars. You're selling cars. You're supposed to be Bahamian citizen. Now you know, and I know, you got a lot of little entities that are not Bahamian citizens owning them or working in them. Now this thing talk about employment. You should not, these areas are reserved for Bahamian nationals only. Right? You shouldn't be the public transportation, inclusive of locally solicited charter boat tours. So if you could do a local charter, you got to be a Bahamian-owned boat and a Bahamian entity. If you could do transportation, period, jitney driving, taxi driving, water ski, jet ski, mail boat, the policy of the government says you ought to be a Bahamian. And again, we got a lot of non-Bahamians working on our mail boats, right? Violating this policy. We know that they can't get work permit to work on those boats because that means immigration will violate this policy, and immigration ain't gonna violate this policy. Landscaping. Well, you know we got plenty of that going on, eh? And those are the areas, publicized areas. This ain't no secret document I'm reading from, right? You can get this, just Google areas reserved for Bahamians, right? I think this is under the site. I can't see all the details, but I think it's under the site of Ministry of Tourism. So there you go. What are they coming to the Bahamas for? Why are they choosing the Bahamas over every other country in the world? Yeah, they're close to us, but they're closer to Cuba and they're closer to Jamaica. Why the Bahamas? Because they can make money here. And I can guarantee you, if they are stopped from making money carelessly the way it's going on now, they can move on. Or they may go to Cuba or go to Jamaica because they realize, boy, it ain't make no sense going to Bahamas because you can go and work. They have countries like Dubai, countries like Cayman Island. These countries got more non-nationals than nationals. But they also have a very strict immigration policy. Although those people are in there outnumbering them and doing the jobs that they are permitted to do, they're not going to be citizens. You go to Dubai trying to be a citizen. It ain't happening. You could be living there for 30, 40 years, working in construction or working. You could be working for them. So there's nothing wrong with these nationalities coming to the Bahamas, so long as if they want to do gardening and whatnot, they got to be working for Bahamian. They don't start their own company doing gardening. We definitely want you working in our construction area. We don't want you working in our vehicle, cars, auto areas. We don't want you working in our transportation areas, right? So we don't even want to give you no permit for that because we want our Bahamians working in those areas. And although we have it on the books, it is really not being carried out. Right? Not being carried out. Because it looked like all kind of people working in these areas unfettered. It ain't like the country authorities or officials are trying to stop these people. Now, we have a second topic to talk about. Now, we out of time. We got, what, 7, 8 minutes? 2, 3, and 5 is 8. 8 minutes left. So let's touch lightly, very lightly, on how the Defense Force is bracing itself for the anticipated surge of Haitian migrants. It's said that things are still out of hand in Haiti. And, you know, the migrants ain't using the traditional sailing sloop no more to get here. They're starting to use motorized vessels, right? Motorized in the sense that they got engine. And so they ain't gonna be out there for 2-3 weeks trying to get to Nassau. And once they get enough fuel, they can go all the way around and come back in wherever they feel like. And Defense Force can only have so much boats out there at any one time. And the Bahamas is so vast, some can slip through, eh? Some should be able to slip through if they have motor. They also got plans for a new 62-meter. And if you multiply that by 3, how much you get? 3 7 21. It's like over 200 feet, around 200 feet, eh? Patrol boat, offshore patrol boat. As their flagship, you know, they had the Nassau and the Bahamas, which were the really big ones, almost, it was 190 footers, I think. So they can get one a little bigger than them now to be the flagship. You know, my thing is, I really wish I had time to talk with this. Because very recently, you know, they had, what do you call it? The Sandy Bottom Project, where we got a whole heap of patrol boats. But my only issue with this, not my only issue, my big issue with this is, yes, 1 or 2 of them run aground. But most of those vessels should be operational today. But we need the right kind of engineers on the job. We need to start getting engineers certified internationally to be on ships and then come back into the fold of the Defense Force, because they are now far more knowledgeable about how to go about keeping ships running, right? Tropical shipping, Betty K. You see those ships that come here on a routine basis, they don't only break down. And you ask why? How come they ain't breaking down? I'll tell you why they ain't breaking down. Because most of them are what they call classed. They have the classification society that on an annual basis, they gotta change certain things. They gotta check certain things. And when class come, if they find any pitting, if they find any rusting, they will cause them to change. They'll put them through all kind of things. You see, when you're an engineer going through all of this, you learning how to do things properly. Defense Force have no such system. I've been there. I'm out now, but I know they ain't got no such system. I know they don't have certified mechanics or certified engineers to work on their vessels. I know. And even some of the people who are in charge of engineering never really sail commercially to understand and capture exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So they always need more boats. They always need more this, need more that. And the thing is, yes, we need to have some vessels out there for the poaching and the smuggling of people, human migrants and stuff like that. But we ain't gonna be able to have enough boats to cover all of our waters. Not only that, if we stop them from working, they ain't gonna come here. They'll pass us like we're here. Like I said, they'll take a chance with Jamaica or Cuba, but they can come here to try to get from here somewhere else. Right? So those are the things we need to apply pressure to force them to not want to be here. The ones who are here, if they can't work, they can leave and go somewhere else. Because if they can't come in, they don't want to be around us. They don't care for us. They don't really like being around them. Mind you, some of them are very nice, and we think they're good people, and some of them are good people. Some of them are better than most of the Bahamians we know. But the reason they're here is employment. Don't never think they're here because they don't really want to be in among their own people. They want employment to do better for themselves, and you can't blame them. But we got laws that apply. That's all I say. Some of them we need, but we don't need all of them. And they now doing big things, eh? They're coming in here as workers. Now they owning their own company. And when they hire, they only hire their own people. And I can't blame them. But at the end of the day, is it right? Why are we allowing it? So, with that, I move to the pledge that our country made for 150 Marines to participate in the peacekeeping at Haiti. Well, we've been hearing after that we're not really going to go put boots on the ground per se. We'll have like 3 or 4 people in there, but most of our contributions will be in the patrol with making sure people ain't leaving Haiti. Man, you can't make sure people don't leave Haiti. We can't stop them from coming here. We know what's going on. And if that Haitian problem is going to affect us before it affect any other country in the world, don't you think we want to be in there with the people who are trying to reorganize that place? Hoping that they could get reorganized and they wouldn't have a need to be mass exodus because of the turmoil? I think we do. I think we owe it to our own country to try and get Haiti stabilized. Whatever way we could contribute, let's do that. Let's not try duck getting them stabilized and hoping other people do it. Let's be a part of it. That's my view, right? So yes, we need to keep Defense Force strong. We need to keep them equipped. But I say that focus needs to be in view of us actually going in there when we get the opportunity, putting some boots on the ground to try and help stabilize that place. Ladies and gentlemen, we are fresh out of time. You have been listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. My producer for the night is the one and only Mr. Craig Gibson. We had a few calls. I thank those callers. I've been ranting and raving. I don't know if I was on the right track, but I just let you know what I feel. And I hope that you was let me know what you feel, but only a couple of people called. So all I could say is thank you for listening. Our show can be downloaded or you can listen to it at any time on our YouTube page. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Go to YouTube, go to the search, plug in Maritime Matters Bahamas, just like I say I love you, the Maritime 3 words, and all of our shows. And this one tonight will be uploaded, so later on tonight you'll be able to listen to this one again if you want to, or sometime tomorrow, or sometime during the week. So please stay tuned. We're every Tuesday at 5:05 p.m. We'll have Maritime Matters for you. Look forward to seeing you next week. With that, I say good night, Annie and Maritime Matters. Tick, 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 tick. Out.